Hello light workers and light bearers, how are you doing carrying your lights these days? Are your lights getting a bit heavy? It's okay. In this video lesson today, we are going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses and ask the question, what the dickens is going on with them? I'm going to talk about the Antichrist and give you a different way of looking at an old thing. I'm going to talk about a message for mankind from the Emissaries, and I'm going to talk about forgiveness. That's probably going to be the biggest part of it. And so, I'll see you on the other side. Jehovah's Witnesses. What on earth is going on with them? The reason I'm asking this question, I won't labour the point. Maybe not everybody's been a Jehovah's Witness. In fact, I'm almost sure that not everybody's been a Jehovah's Witness. But let me tell you, I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. I was given the patter. I was given the indoctrination. I was told how things were. I was told that religion was the prostitute that was riding on the back of the beast, and I was told this, something that I still believe to this day. Right at the beginning, the earth was given to the devil. The devil was given dominion over the earth right at the beginning, and the devil has had ever since then, whenever it was, believe what you want to believe, he's had since then, all of the time, to make this his home, to make this his pad, his place. And he's done a fantastic job. In fact, so much so that we live in a world in which everything is upside down. And isn't that just the way for the Satanists to invert everything? Everything has to be inverted. That's their way of laughing at all that is good. And so, as a witness, I was always told that. We used to, in fact, call it, there were two places to live in. One was where we lived, which was called being in the truth. In the truth. Okay? And then everybody else was in the world. You might notice that these, cults tend to have their own language, just like we have with the COVID cult has its own language, which I'll come to. And so, that was what I was taught. Those in the world are under the power of the devil, and those in the truth are not. Yeah. Something has shifted. Something has changed. Now that at the moment I'm communicating with my brother who hasn't spoken to me for 40 years, but because my mum's bad, he's allowed to speak to me because it's all about rules. God allows you to talk to people who are shunned if they have a bad, ill relative. Yeah, because God's like that. I think that's God of the Old Testament, isn't it? Yeah, all right, yeah, you can talk to them, but only if a member of your family's dying or ill. Yeah? So, my brother's talking to me, and I think I've told you about the fact that he said that he was having health problems because of that. He was passing blood. Yeah. And I said to him, you have looked into this, haven't you? Have you looked into what's in it? Because, for example, you know that the JWs aren't allowed to accept blood. Why? Because God likes blood. You can tell that. The God of the Old Testament likes blood. He liked to spill it a lot. Yeah, but it was always, cut the throat, put the blood on the altar, on the offering. God always wanted the blood. Yeah, he wanted it flowing. So that was why they don't take blood, right? Because there's this one really bizarre, weird scripture in the Bible that says that the blood is for God. And it's talking about sacrifice, but hey, let's just extrapolate it and turn it into a dogma that's killed thousands of people. So anyway, they don't accept blood. They won't smoke. Why? Because it damages your body temple. You can drink. Jesus' first miracle. That's what they say. You can drink. Okay? to your heart's content, really, as long as you get drunk at home and people can't see you. Just don't get drunk in public, because then they would have to get you into trouble. But everyone gets drunk at home. But you're not allowed to smoke. You're not allowed to take drugs. Recreational ones. Pharmaceutical ones, it seems to be, they're okay. So, my brother said to me, yes, I did talk to the nurse about my concerns, but she assured me that it was all right. It was normal, okay? And then, a little bit later, he sent a message saying, we can't come out today to play because we are sheltering in place because we both had number 2, okay? And when I say number 2, I'm not talking about what you do in the toilet, although really it could be linked. The number 2 could be linked with number 2. But basically, in that there are fetal parts, fetal cells, okay? There are also, in one of them, monkey cells. All right, I'm not going to say the word because they're always listening, because you're not allowed to say anything bad about anything. But you're like all these parts of other animals and parts of other humans getting injected directly into your blood. Why are the Jehovah's Witnesses taking this? Why? When they know that the world is in the hands of the devil. And then the world is telling them that they have to have this, and they're taking it. So, to cut a long story a little bit shorter than what I would like, I am deeply disappointed. If you happen to be watching this, which is very unlikely, and you're a Jehovah's Witness, I am deeply disappointed in you and your organization. You have been emasculated. I don't know what happened. The witnesses used to be really strong and brave, and they would go against governments and they would say no and be a conscientious objector, and now they're just falling over backwards to fit into the narrative that's being played out. I am very disappointed. Anyway, so moving on. Antichrist. Now, there are so many people talking about the Antichrist, who it is, what it is, is it William the Gate, who's now really interested in what's happening with him. Have you noticed that the media is turning on him? The media is turning on him. Watch this space. He is being sacrificed. He has been given up. My feel is because he's getting such bad press that he can't do anything good anymore. He can't implement the deep state's needs, and so he's being sacrificed. Some other people, which I'll tell you about, some other people have different ideas, but watch this space with him, eh? Watch this space. Something very interesting is happening there. He's been given up, handed over, and the media who he owns, is attacking him. Very strange. So I heard somebody talk about the Antichrist the other day and said a beautiful idea of what the Antichrist is, or who. And he said, if you look at the name, the Antichrist is not a specific person. The Antichrist is anybody who is against Christ, who is anti-Christ. So it's more like it's a movement, it's a wave of people who are anti-Christ. And I think this has been around a long time, but more so we're seeing it now. So it isn't necessarily, we don't have to wait, because part of the issue is people are saying, well, the prophecy can't be fulfilled until we see the Antichrist. I think the Antichrist is here and it's all around us. And it's anybody who is against, I'm not going to say Christianity, because for me, the Antichrist or Christ is not linked to a religion, even though that sounds like a bit of a strange thing to say. It's a way of being. It's a vibrational form that we have, being in the Christed light. Yeah, It's an elevated status. And so anybody who's against that, and there are many, they are the Antichrist. They're part of the Antichrist. Okay, so I thought that was really a nice way of looking at it, and it helps to understand that this prophecy that's being played out is quite a way down the line. We are quite a way down the line already, quite a way. That means, good news, the further down the line we are, the closer we are to the nice bit. The nice bit's coming. Okay, let's move on. I was meditating the other day with the emissaries, and I said to them, can you give me a message for the people, for us, for mankind, something that we need? What do we need to do these days? And you wouldn't believe the repetition that they give me, because I was kind of like in a real place of, my mind was skipping about, and I just kept getting this word, introspection, 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 over and over and over and over again. They were repeating it. And what the message was this. They said, it's time now for us to look within and not to look without. Okay? And what they were saying was that there are now too many truths out there. There's too much information. We are becoming overwhelmed and overloaded with information. There's just too much. That one person cannot cope with the flood, the tidal wave of information that's out there. And everybody's doing a fantastic job. Remember, all of this is affirmation, this is creation, all of this information creation. But for those of us who already know the score, for those of us who already know what the story is, what they were saying was that we need to let that go, what's outside, and we need to turn within and find our truth within. And that's why they were using the word introspection. And they said that salvation is not found out there. Our salvation is found within us, inside of us. Now, you take that the way that you want to take it, but it's like, you know, the talk about the fact that we've been here a long time, many times. We've got, multiple lives that we can refer to. We are just sparks, splinters from God. And so we already know all that is to know. And we carry that inside of us. We connected to it. And so that's why they're saying to go inside and find your truth inside. And that is what's going to save you. So how do you do that? Well, meditation, whatever you want to do, really. Being in the countryside, sitting under a tree, spending time with your family, playing, doing whatever it is, being in your bliss. That's what we need to start to do. Go inside, not outside. We go outside and we can top up, we can get some good news and everything, and then we go inside and we process it. Okay? So this is important, that we need time where we live busy lives. Everything's happening so quickly now that we need to slow it down. Slow it down. That's what they're saying. Go inside. Check in on yourself. If you're given some information, go inside and ask yourself, how do I feel about that information? Does that resonate with me? Is that my kind of thing? And if it isn't, then you know to avoid that. Okay? And if it does resonate with you, brilliant. So that was their message. Introspection. Trust yourself more than everything that's outside of you. And then finally, forgiveness. So, I'm talking about a few things, different things today, but they're bits and pieces, but I think they're important. I watched a video by David Wilcock. Now, I don't know if you know David Wilcock. I used to follow him a lot. I really liked David Wilcock until suddenly he didn't resonate with me anymore. Until suddenly I had a feeling that his ego had become more important than David Wilcock. And I don't know, just something went weird. But every now and again I do listen to him because he does a lot of good research and stuff like that. But I'm very wary of the man, very wary. And so he was talking about Mr. Gates and the fact that the media is turning on him, right? And his theory was this. He said, I think now, and he quoted somebody else who said this, that Mr. Gates, Kill Bill, has repented. Okay? He's repented, and then what he's done, he is going to spill the beans. He's going to be what do you call it? The people who blab, and he's going to spill the beans about the whole thing. Okay? And he said, and he made a massive deal of this, which made me feel very uncomfortable as he was doing it. I was very uncomfortable. He was saying, and we can forgive him. If he helps us, if he becomes a whistleblower, then we can forgive him. Okay? And he kept saying it over and over and over again. And it made me think of a conversation that I had with a client of mine. You see, in the therapies that I do with people, one of the important things is forgiveness. And I spend quite a bit of time helping people to be able to forgive people in the past, people in the present. And let me explain the difference between the two things. You see, the client said to me, she said, because we'd done a hypnotic process, and she said, before I believed that it wasn't my, didn't have the right to forgive. Okay? She said, but now that you've explained it, I understand what kind of forgiveness that is. And that was very impactful for me. And especially when I heard David Wilcock saying that we will forgive Bill Gates. And I was thinking, forgive him what? How can we forgive Bill Gates when we don't know what Bill Gates has done? Truly, we don't know what he's done. How can we forgive him when we are not connected karmically to him? We don't know what karmic debt he has accrued. So how could we forgive him? And so what I was realizing was that there are two kinds of forgiveness, and that my client was right. We do not have the right to forgive anyone. That might set them free. We cannot forgive somebody and set them free from what they have done. That's not our job. That's God's job, or whatever that's been organized in that department to decide on the karmic debt that everybody has. So what is the forgiveness that I help clients to reach? That's the forgiveness of forgiving somebody so that you might be free. We can't forgive somebody so that they're free, but we can forgive that person and allow ourselves to be free. Let me explain what I mean. I've heard so many times people saying to me, and I'll never forgive myself for what I did, or I'll never forgive that person for what they did. And that is a tremendous weight that we are hanging. It's a millstone hanging around our necks. It keeps us a prisoner. We become imprisoned. And the person that did that is actually imprisoning us. Or should I say, we are imprisoning ourselves by way of that person. And so what happens is, just imagine, the person who did the terrible act is off there enjoying life, smoking cigars and drinking brandy, whilst we are sitting in a state of depression or anger disappointment, hating the world, hating ourselves, hating that person. And we're filled with all of these toxic feelings, toxic, that are actually destroying us, that are actually damaging our insides, that are damaging us physically, spiritually, and mentally. And so, when we forgive, we set ourselves free. The person still has the karmic debt to deal with. They often, people who've done bad stuff, often really, really have a shit life. And even on the outside, it might appear to be good. On the inside, they're rotten. They are rotten on the inside. And they know it. They know it karmically, they know it spiritually. And they know it mentally sometimes. So the forgiveness that I am selling to everybody is the forgiveness that goes like this. What you did is totally and unequivocally unacceptable. There is nothing that would say that what you did was good. It wasn't. It was unacceptable. It was the wrong thing to do, and people were hurt. But despite that, I am going to forgive you so that I might be free. I am going to forgive you so that I can let that go and carry on with my life. And it's this. We take on that shit. We allow that shit to stick to us. What they did, a shitty thing, gets stuck to us. And when we forgive, what we're doing is this. We're saying, this is not my shit. You have it back. This is not my shit. You have it back. Forgiveness is the most selfish thing that you can do. You see, you can't help that person. You can't forgive them the forgiveness that they need to get from God. You can't do it. It's not your job. You don't have the right, you don't have the power, you don't have the tools. But you do have the tool to say, this is not my shit anymore. You have it. I'm going to walk lighter. I'm going to walk easier. I'm going to walk my path. And so what I'd like you to do is to think about that. To think about any kind of ill feeling that you're carrying about somebody else, and consider sitting down in calm place and forgiving that person, knowing that the forgiveness is actually the cutting of ties, it's the returning of the crap to them, and it's the setting yourself free. However, understand that it has to be genuine forgiveness. It has to be genuine. It doesn't work by saying, I forgive you, because that won't work. Forgiveness comes from the heart. And it's literally, it's a connection that you let go. That's what you're doing. I forgive you and I let you go. And when you let that go, you're free. And that forgiveness is actually the cure for depression and anger. And quite often, the person that we need to forgive is us. In fact, just about every time, we need to forgive ourselves. It's the last person in the chain. Let's forgive everybody that hurt us so that we can be free. And then let's forgive ourselves. Because that's the ultimate freedom. When we say, look, I did the best that I could do with the resources that I had at the time. And I understand that it wasn't the right thing to do. And I'm sorry. And I let this go. I forgive myself. Because at the time I didn't know any better. And now I do. And that's when you let it go and you forgive yourself. That process actually sets you free, and it lets you start living a happier life. And that's why, with all that's happening and all of the badness that's around us, we must forgive them. Not because they will then be free, because they won't. They've got a very high price to pay. but so that we be free. And just doing that on a daily basis. I forgive them. I forgive them. I often do it when the chemtrailers are going over. I shoot them with a love bullet, and I say, I forgive you. You don't know what you're doing. If you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't be doing it. So, there you are. I leave you with that. Try it. Start forgiving yourself and forgiving others, understanding that it's selfish and that you're setting yourself free. But do it genuinely, and it'll work for you. You'll feel much better. Okay, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.